Back last year at Sundance, The Night House premiered there, and I was so excited to see it until I saw that the ticket I got was for midnight. Now, for me, I'm a scaredy cat. I didn't go because I heard it was creepy, and I knew deep down, very deep down, that me going to see a film at midnight, a horror film perhaps, and getting out around maybe 2 a.m. in the morning, and then having to head back to my Airbnb in the middle of nowhere, hike up a hill, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful Airbnb in Utah. I loved it, snowing, pitch black, and staying all alone. I would have not been able to survive that night, and thank God I didn't, because The Night House absolutely got right under my skin and scared the bejeebas out of me. But I will say this film is really good, and I think you guys all need to check it out. What's going on, buddy? Welcome back to a brand new movie review. Today we're going to be discussing The Night House, which of course is about a widow who begins to uncover her recently deceased husband's disturbing secrets. This is directed by David Bruckner, who now I'm really excited to see whatever this guy has done before, because this is my first film for him, and it also stars the likes of Rebecca Hall. Now, like I said, I was really excited to see this movie at Sundance, and when I missed it, I was like, I'll catch it later in the year. Then COVID happened, and everything got pushed back, and it is finally coming out in 2021, towards the back half of the year, and thankfully this lived up to my expectations of what I thought it would be. It's not as perfect, and it's definitely not one of my favorite horror films of the last decade, but it is one that really got under my skin. And let me put this back. This is not a straightforward horror film, and if you're going into this thinking jump scare and demons and ghosts and having these creepily figures running at you, it's none of that. This is more of a psychological drama, very effective in the way that it handles Rebecca Hall's character and in general the entire story itself. People who've ever grieved and in general just gone through moments like this of losing someone so important to you will really much hit an emotional crux inside this. But as well as the disturbing secret aspect, I knew there was going to be some disturbing elements in here. But dear God, where this film ends up going, I never thought in a million years. And I like that, because every twist, every turn kept me in a trance of figuring out what was going on. And in a sense, this is very much a descent into madness and a descent into depression. It's just like opening up Pandora's box and trying to fit it all back in, because it is one wild Jenga puzzle that you will truly go on, and it is one hell of an experience. You know, if you're not a fan of psychological dramas that do have more of these elements like that, this isn't gonna be for you. And you might laugh and you might not think that some of the horror moments work, but that's what's so good about just film, is everything is so subjective. Horror and comedy, I feel like, are some of the most subjective things in the world. You might think something scary that I don't, and I might be scared of something that you don't. And that's what's great all about it. What's also great about this channel, so if you guys are new here, make sure again to hit that like and subscribe button so we can keep talking movies over here on a daily basis. I'm a giant geek, and I'm sure if you're here, you probably are the same. So make sure again to comment down below, hit that like and subscribe button, and let's get back to the review. One of the big things I do want to praise in here is flat out Rebecca Hall. This is a one-woman show for the most part. Yes, while the likes of Sarah Goldberg and many others are phenomenal in here, and I'm a big fan of Sarah. I think she's fantastic in Barry. This is Rebecca Hall's story in and out. No matter what it is, she is the star from the first scene to the very last, and her performance absolutely runs the entire thing. You feel her pain, her emotion, her grief that she is going through. There are a couple moments in particular that you just sit there and you want to hug her because you understand the pain that she is going through. And again, if you've ever lost someone so important in your life before, God, I can't imagine how you will relate so heavily to her. It's phenomenal what she did. For me, this is probably one of my favorite performances she's ever given in her entire career, and she runs this entire show. Without her, I don't think this film would have been elevated to the degree it was, and it wouldn't have been as believable in certain scenes and instances, because as she goes through and starts discovering certain secrets, you really much feel like you are in her character's shoes, and you feel like you are along for the ride the entire way. It's David's direction that, as well as Rebecca Hall's performance, that really much bring this entire story together. The sharp editing, the sharp cinematography, and just in general weaving the ins and outs of the story that in some other person's hands, I feel like would have felt like the story had too many twists and too many turns, or even in general just was too much for a story like this, because for every secret she starts to unbury, there is a worse secret underneath that until you finally dig all the way to the bottom. You're just like, Jesus Christ, Christ, this is dark. It all ties together. Every little glimmer, every little moment, every little sign you see, it all comes together, and it makes for a very thought-provoking experience, especially as just some of the subtle details. And this is a film that I kind of want to rewatch and analyze, even though it really got under my skin from certain moments and things that are kind of ingrained inside my head. That was one of the things that I really dug overall, was the way that they weaved and twisted this mythology in general until you get to the very end. You kind of see, and you look back and you're like, damn, this was very impactful. Once again, it's because of Rebecca Hall's performance and absolutely because of David's direction. It is great what he was able to do, and seriously, some of the ways that they build this night house into an actual character of its own, especially within the third act. The third act has some moments in there where I was like, holy shit, this is cool. A lot of that also goes to the production design, which I must give a huge shout out to. Certain scenes and moments, I mean, the production design and the cinematography, again, the editing, technically is all working together to make this all just great. Of course, it is a psychological drama with some horror tendencies to it, and with every horror film, there's gotta be something in them that's horrific. And I gotta give it to the jump scares as well. They got me. A lot of that goes, again, to the sound design. Now, the first few of them, I was like, oh my god, it's just this loud noises, and they're just coming off, and oh my god, they're gonna make me jump. But even after that, the subtle tension of me gripping the damn seat, gripping my girlfriend's hand and holding on for dear life, I was sitting there like, Jesus, where is this gonna go? That's where I know this film is actually getting under my skin, is to the point where I'm literally to the point where I don't want to see what's gonna happen on the screen, but at the same time, I do, so I can see and follow along with the story. And I'm sure there's someone out there watching this video that are like, this movie wasn't scary. Cool, glad it wasn't for you. But it scared the shit out of me, and I really dug that. Like I said, this movie wasn't perfect, and I don't think it's one of the best horror films of the last decade, but I do think this is one that no one is really talking about, and they should, especially just because of the performances, the technical effort, and as well, of course, because of the direction. But I do understand where this film does get held back. I think it is at least 10 minutes too long, and I also will say there is a lot of exposition in here that I don't think needed to be in here. There were certain elements in here where I feel like it would have been more of a visual cue to continue that, and it felt like the director or even the writers felt, okay, we don't know if someone will understand all of this, so we need to say what is happening, that way everyone can kind of follow along a little bit better. Whereas a visual cue, I would have liked to have had that more of like, okay, I'm watching this, okay, how does that tie into this, how does this tie into this? There are, again, just certain characters in here that are just pretty much used for straight exposition, and I didn't think they needed to be in here at all. I think a couple rewrites would have maybe fixed that up, and I think with the rewrites, helping get rid of a lot of the exposition would really much shorten the runtime to at least, again, less than 10 to 15 minutes, and I think this film would have been almost near perfect. All brought this creepy atmosphere that I could not get enough of, but at the same time, I could, because it was creeping me out. It got right under my skin, my nails, and my entire body, but at the center of it all is Rebecca Hall's phenomenal performance that I think really much elevates this film to that next level. Some of the moments in here that could have came off cheesy did not, thankfully, because of both David and Rebecca Hall. They both nailed this movie into such a different stratosphere that I didn't expect, and this movie once again did scare the shit out of me. I really hope this film does get talked about a little bit more, because as an independent film like this, it deserves a little bit more love. If you're looking for a different, unique, psychological drama with some horror tendencies in there, or in general just a psychological horror film, this is right up your alley. Dives into depression, griefing, and all the horrific elements of that, but brings it about into its own light. So with all that said, I'm going to give The Night House a B+. Thank you once again, guys, for clicking on this. If this film was just a little bit shorter, it would have been near perfect, but I cannot wait to hear your guys' thoughts down below in the comment section. If we agree, if we disagree, let's talk about it all down there, as well as make sure to head on over to CM Films on how to see films early, and of course, it's a big thing to you and a big thing to my Patreon supporters, because without you, I wouldn't be able to do this. So of course, until next time, stay classy.